Hey everyone, welcome back to the WAFL. In Season 1, after relocating the entire NFL, it was the Columbus Caps who were the last team standing, and it was Patrick Mahomes who took home the Super Bowl MVP. But before that, it was Justin Fields who won the regular season MVP under Andy Reid's tutelage. But before that, Aaron Donald set the single season sack record with 24 sacks. And so now we must boldly go into the offseason, starting with retirement. There have been some notable losses. The Super Bowl runner-up Thunderbirds lost their all-pro center Jason Kelce, and the Tigers will have to replace one of their best offensive tackles in the game in Trent Williams. And then we have Calais Campbell and Marvin Jones retiring from the Sentinels, Jason Peters and Matt Ryan, Colt McCoy, Tyrod Taylor, Case Keenum, and maybe the biggest blow to a team's playoff chances is Aaron Rodgers is retiring, leaving the Mounties with a big need at quarterback. But it's not the players that are the only ones leaving. Out of all of our fired coaches, 8 of them could not find another job, and so Madden, in its wisdom, has forced them to retire. So farewell to Arthur, Dennis, Kevin, Mike, Pete, and Sean. Good luck to you. And now let's usher in the new crop of head coaches. Replacing Mike Tomlin at the helm for the Aviators is Coach Eric Aguilar from the Dan Campbell coaching tree, looking to switch to a multiple zone run offense while sticking with the 3-4. Next up is a surprise retread hire from the London Black Knights. Fired from the Nighthawks, you think the last thing England wants is to see another Reich show up right in their front door, but we'll see if his West Coast spread can get the Knights over the hump and into the playoffs. Now here comes Jerry Tussin, looking to revamp that lackluster Golden Eagle offense from a year ago and infuse a spread look alongside a 46 defensive scheme. It's a crazy mix of old and new ideas, but I'll be interested to see how it all pans out. Next is another Dan Campbell protege. The Thunderbirds got pillaged after their Super Bowl run, and now it's Dean Fuller replacing Frank the Stank Reich in Buenos Aires, and I'm sure they're hoping to help Bryce Young with the hire and make the leap in his development. And now a new coach plucked straight from the Sacramento Condors and the Andy Reid coaching tree is Ramiro Gallo. He'll have the second pick in the draft at his disposal. We'll see if he can turn around one of the worst teams in the league. Next comes another Andy Reid disciple. Lynn Wagner is bringing the West Coast and the 4-3 defense to Houston. Wagner is going to have a top 5 pick and some decisions to make at quarterback. Bring back Kenny Pickett, Will Levis, or a new direction entirely? We shall see. Now, Coach Frank Reich wasn't the only rehire. Brian Daboll found a new home in Orlando after his 1-year stint with the Black Knights. And with Jalen Hurts at the helm and Daboll as coach, can the Orbits avenge their awful Season 1 collapse? Next, we go to our worst team in the league, the current number 1 draft pick, Portland Pioneers, and they're ushering in the Brandon Washington era, plucked from the Dublin Shamrocks and their dominant season last year. We'll see how they spend their pick, but this may be a slow turnaround. And now to the Tigers. Out is Pete Carroll, and stepping in is Sean Easton, bringing a West Coast look to Tokyo. You'll have a top 5 pick to bolster this roster, and with the loss of Trent Williams, you wonder if they go offensive line this year. And lastly, the San Juan Wizards went shopping in Dublin and found a replacement for Arthur Smith in Bill Duncan. They switched from a West Coast 3-4 to a vertical style passing attack with 4-3 under as the defense. An underrated hire if you think about the weapons they have on offense, like George Kittle and Tyreek Hill. So now with the WAFL coaches set, it's time to hit free agency, and this year's big ticket item is 97 overall Zach Martin, and he is heading to the Shamrocks, adding more power to an already stout offense. Let's take a quick look by position, and at QB, things are already looking much different this year. The Redwoods grabbed Geno Smith, formerly with the San Antonio Dreadnoughts. The Mounties find their replacement for Aaron Rodgers in Derek Carr. Tannehill, fresh off an excellent playoff run and a WAFL Bowl appearance, is shunned, and his old team, the Thunderbirds, go in a new direction with Gardner Minshew. Then at running back, Devin Singletary is scooped up by the Anchorage Huskies. Thunderbirds grab the best fullback available in Kyle Juszczyk, and then the Huskies strike again, grabbing Puka Nacua. The young star tight end Sam Laporta signs with the Elks, adding another piece to their up-and-coming young offense. Then the Tigers grab the best left tackle they can in Joseph Noboom, but the best left guard goes to the Bisons, a team with an already solid offensive line. Then at center, the Redwoods pair their new QB Geno Smith with center Drew Dahlman. And there's Martin again, the only player above 90 to hit free agency. And we round out the linemen with right tackle Morgan Moses, and he's going to the Wizards. Now in defensive signings, the champion Caps addressing one of their needs, then the Black Knights signed Cleveland Farrell to be their right end. Then Sacramento adds some strength up the middle with Michael Pierce, and then the Snowhawks adding a nice piece to their defense as well with Demario Davis. But they didn't stop there, they added Preston Smith, while the best left outside linebacker available, Tyus Bowser, goes to the Orbits. And while a lot of teams need secondary help, there's just not a lot going on in free agency. Best a team can do is the Pioneers when they sign Nick Needham. And finally, in special teams news, the Voyagers go after kicker Daniel Carlson, while the defending champs shore up their punting game, grabbing Tommy Townsend. So now with free agency wrapped up, we can focus on the draft. The last 3 mocks are nothing if not consistent. They haven't budged one bit, so will they be right? And will it be 4 defensive linemen in the top 5? Let's find out. The Pioneers are on the clock, and the Portland Pioneers start their rebuild by selecting the right end from Missouri, Wendell Blake. The mocks were right after all. Blake goes number 1, and with star development, he is looking like a starter at the right end position for years to come with big upside if he can have a few breakthrough games along the way. The Lumberjacks are now up with pick number 2. The mocks say right end James Stroud, but the projections put receiver Devante Snell as the best available. And now the pick is in, and boy is it a good one. Lumberjacks just picked up an instant starter. I personally have never seen a guy this good. He's a superstar X Factor straight out of the box and will be paired with Amari Cooper this coming season. Now all the Jacks need is a QB to get them the ball. Now the Tigers will pick 3rd overall. Are they thinking QB of the future here? They do have Kirk Cousins, but that didn't stop the Falcons, as we all know. But no, they go with the Tennessee tackle Robert Monroe, first offensive lineman off the board. He sounds like a founding father, but is a solid piece at tackle. The obvious drawback, though, is he's only normal development, so filling the shoes of Trent Williams will be a tall task. The Houston Oilers are now up with the 4th pick. Best available says QB Steve Weiss, but the mocks had speed rusher Brendan Sherwood, and the pick is neither. Oilers select James Stroud, right end from Louisville. Normal development, so another DN comes off the board. So now the Aviators are up next at number 5. QB Steve Weiss still available, but Albuquerque already has Jordan Love at QB. Maybe they go with the mocks and Artie Dunlap. And they do. The power rusher D tackle from UCF goes number 5, but that marks the 3rd straight pick with normal development. Not what you would expect this high up in the draft. A solid rookie, but I'm sure these teams hope for a little more. Now it's Mexico City at number 6. Best prospect on the board is still Steve Weiss. QB is an obvious need for the Golden Eagles. Jimmy Garoppolo did not pan out last season, and they've got him. The first QB has come off the board. The TCU prospect is big, has a strong arm, but unfortunately lacks any big development traits to start this season. And at number 7 is the Nighthawks with the pick. Since the Snell pick at number 2, I haven't been blown away, but they go with right tackle Craig Main, going to the offensive lineman from Alabama with star development. Some much needed blocking for Christian McCaffrey and Bryce Young, a good pickup. And now with pick number 8, the San Juan Wizards select Josh Thompson, D tackle, Miami, 6'3", 318 pounds, can run, stop, and power rush. And at star development, a nice pick by the Wiz. Next up is the Orlando Orbits at number 9. Top prospect on the board is tight end Paul Scholes, but the pick is in and the run on D lineman continues with left end Lloyd Rathman, a big power rusher from NC State. However, normal development on this guy to start. And now we round out the top 10 with the Melbourne Bulls. Top prospect is still the tight end, but the Bulls go defense, selecting Gilbert Oakley, speed rusher, and with superstar development, he could arguably be the best pick since Devante Snell at number 2. Now at pick number 11, the Austin Armadillos take the best available prospect with Paul Schultz, a tight end that can do it all: possession, vertical threat, or block, and is a superstar X Factor week 1. What a pick. Dragons are next at number 12 and adding more to their defensive line with Marco Neighbors. The right end from Auburn will get plenty of chances for sacks, working opposite Micah Parsons on that Dragons defense. Next at number 13 is the Monarchs. QB Russell Bowman and receiver Jimmy Pitts look like the best available prospects, but the Monarchs offense isn't where they need help. They're going defense, and D-tackle Jalen Fulton is the pick. He's a power rusher from USF and has star potential. Now, pick number 14 belongs to the Black Knights. They're going secondary with cornerback Pat Morgan, the first corner taken in this draft, and with star development will be a much needed help for the Black Knights secondary. And now the Redwoods are up for the 15th pick, and they're taking receiver Jimmy Pitts, the deep threat from Louisville, giving Geno Smith another weapon to go alongside Devontae Adams, and he has star development. Now up at number 16 is the San Diego Sentinels, a squad that lost Derek Carr to free agency, so maybe they go quarterback. But it's actually defensive end Brandon Sherwood from Washington State, so another speed rusher gets picked, but Sherwood is starting out with superstar development, so a nice pickup. The Steamers now take their pick at number 17, and it's another defensive end. It's Zach Clemens from TCU, a power rushing end with star potential. And here we have the last of the non-playoff teams to pick in the San Antonio Dreadnoughts at number 18. And they find their replacement for Geno Smith with QB Russell Bowman, the strong-armed prospect from Boston College, has star development and is a great mid-round pickup for San Antonio. Now get loud for the Voyagers at pick number 19. They select our second corner off the board, Darrell Loud from Arizona State. Man-to-man is his specialty, and he has star development. And with pick number 20, the Huskies go back to the usual formula of drafting defensive ends. This time it's Anthony Bolin from Texas A&M, a big power rusher with star potential. The Antlers are up next at number 21, and they're adding another piece for Josh Allen to throw to with Jeff Keller. The Arizona State product is only normal development, but will likely step in and start for Omaha. Now pick number 22 goes to the Riverhogs of St. Louis, who select QB Gabriel Kinchin from Oregon State, another strong-armed quarterback taken with normal development. Might Deshaun Watson's days in St. Louis be numbered? Snowhawks are now up at number 23, and Brooklyn takes tight end Jonathan Harris. A lot of tight ends starting to come off the board. He's a star prospect that can go vertical for QB Trevor Lawrence. Now the Mounties are up at number 24, and they add to their O-line with Sterling Dempsey at right tackle at 6'7", 330 pounds. He is a powerful blocker with star development traits. Next at 25, the Salt Lake City Elks are also going offensive line. They draft a pass blocking left tackle, George Boyd. He's going to have to protect Anthony Richardson's blind side next season, and he also has star development. And at 26, the Bisons dip back into the tight end well and pick Rhett Madden, the vertical threat superstar X Factor from Washington State. OKC is getting perhaps the best value of the draft so far. The tight ends keep coming off the board with Jamie Gutierrez at pick number 27. The Dublin Shamrocks are going to pair him with Dallas Goedert already at tight end there for a nice 1-2 punch. At pick number 28 now is the Sacramento Condors, and the Condors select the first running back off the board, Spencer Bradley, the star receiving back from Washington. And at number 29 now, the Desperados are going strong safety. The first safety taken is Damian Hinton, who has a superstar development trait and will be paired with Derwin James for a potentially dangerous secondary. Now there are only 3 picks left in the first round, and at number 30, the Memphis Blues take Jared McLean, D-tackle from Oklahoma, normal development, but a solid run stopper to add to an already good defense. Now at number 31, the Toronto Thunderbirds select strong safety Justin Porter, and he is a steal at this pick, a superstar X-Factor trait already with run support and zone coverage skills. The number 2 defensive team in the league somehow just got even better. And lastly, the Columbus Caps are at number 32 to round out the first round of picks with guard Mike Harrison from Miami, star development, and you can never go wrong supporting Patrick Mahomes with lineman help. And so that wraps up things here in the first round. I'm going to sim ahead to the end of the draft and check the recap. In round 2, the Aviators picked a really good corner, Mike Adams. He's the best player in the round, following a receiver and a couple of good safeties. So a lot of good value here in the second round. Now the best of round 3 goes to the Pioneers, slot corner Glenn Ellison at 76 overall is a great pick, and into the 4th round, it's another corner, 73 overall, Max Parsons for the Dragons. A lot of decent corners can be had late in these drafts, or at least in the mid-rounds. Now in round 5, the Lumberjacks find a solid contributing back in Xavier Galloway at 73 overall. And even in round 6, there are 70 overall corners to be found. The Bulls pick up Rashad Torrance, and the Huskies get Carlos Wolf, a fitting pick. And lastly, more corners. Redwoods grab Armand Stevens, the best of round number 7. Now let's see best overall speed. The fastest man goes to 2nd round receiver Carlos Royals with 97 speed. But what about strength? That is 4th rounder BJ Ratliff, who went to the Snowhawks with 98 strength. And at QB, the biggest cannon goes to the Dreadnought Russell Bowman. The 1st round pick has 97 throw power. Now let's check that last pick in the draft. And the honor of Mr. Irrelevant goes to Deontay Beasley. Hope you make the team. So now if we sort by overall, it goes Snell 85, Schultz 80, and a slew of 77 overall players. But overall, this draft was filled with great return men, which could make the next season a lot more interesting. 4 players have 95 return, and a bunch more above 90. So now with the draft coming to a close, I simmed through the preseason as teams put the final touches on their rosters. Final preseason standings show Caps, Monarchs, and Shamrocks having some early success, while the Thunderbirds, Dreadnoughts, Riverhogs, and Redwoods didn't have so much luck. So there we have it. Retirements, signings, draftings, preseason has come and gone. The only thing left to do now is to begin again. WAFL Season 2 is right around the corner, so see you for Week 1. We start the week with Oilers versus Thunderbirds and end the week with Burrow versus Mahomes for Monday Night Football. I'll see you there.